It was no secret that the Dursleys had a deep resentment for Harry. The Dursleys, including their son Dudley, openly resented Harry, banishing him to a lonely childhood in the cupboard under the stairs, while Dudley was spoiled with attention and piles upon piles of food and presents. Most fans assumed the resentment was purely from the Dursleys' hatred of the Potters and all things magical, as well as having to deal with the burden of raising Harry, which was completely unexpected. Fans have uncovered a theory which may suggest why the Dursley family was so damn awful. It has now been over 20 years since the record-breaking first Harry Potter book was released. Although some believe that the Dursley family were simply terrible people who believed in nothing more than social status and money, according to a fan theory, it suggests that there was actually a magical reason behind their hatred of Harry. And it all comes down to Horcruxes. Throughout the series, characters who got too close to Horcruxes were affected by them. As we know, Harry himself was one of Voldemort's Horcruxes. The theory suggests that Harry himself may have been influencing the Dursley family's terrible behaviour. The hidden seventh Horcrux that lodged itself inside Harry on the night of his parents' murders is a key element of the Deathly Hallows. And it's clear from Ron's interaction with Salazar Slytherin's locket in the series that Horcruxes turn perfectly normal people into mean, bitter people. Ron even runs away from his friends while mildly cursed by the locket. So what would a decade of exposure do to a family? In 2015, J.K. Rowling shared further details behind why the Dursleys hated Harry so much. She said that Vernon's hatred for Harry stemmed from his hatred of Harry's father James, who Vernon utterly despised. On the other hand, Petunia was jealous of her sister Lily, but deep down loved her. She tolerated Harry and kept him around simply because she was afraid she would never see her sister's eyes again. So a Horcrux's exposure can cause harmful effects on the mind and soul of the person who possesses it, such as Ron with the locket and Ginny with the diary. So what if the Dursleys were so awful because they lived with a Horcrux for 17 years? If Ron acted horribly for being exposed to a Horcrux for a short amount of time, one can only imagine how miserable and mean someone would become after decades of exposure. It's certainly an interesting idea, but there are some counterpoints. First of all, J.K. Rowling herself later wrote that Vernon hated Harry because he looked so much like James Potter. I guess Vernon did have something in common with Snape after all. Also, it is clear from the canon that the Dursleys were not nice people to begin with. So while it would make things easier to believe that the Dursleys were only horrible people because of Harry's internal Horcrux, it's much more likely that they just represented the worst of the Muggle world.